Okay, sorry guys, part two. I had another technological difficulty and also wanted to look something up really quick. That is my bad. So back to finite and open. Finite means that there's going to be two endpoints. Open means I'm going to have open circles. So if I wanted to say the interval of all numbers between 2 and 6, I would want to have an open circle on 2, an open circle on 6, and I would want to fill in all of those together. So open circles between 2 and 6. Next thing, infinite. If we think about infinite, we know that means it's going to keep going on forever and ever, and we use an arrow. Something else to note about infinite is it has to be infinite on at least one side. So that means that even if one side's closed and it keeps going and going forever in one direction, that still counts as infinite because on at least one side means it's going to be, it can be both, but it only has to be one. Closed again means I'm going to have those closed circles, which means it included. So if I want to think about all numbers greater than or equal to 3, I know that or equal to is going to tell me I need a closed circle. So because it is included, it is equal to. So I'm going to put that closed circle on 3. And I don't have an endpoint, right? Because I want to say all numbers that are greater. So I'm going to fill in all numbers. But my number line doesn't stop here, right? I see that arrow. I'm going to color right over it. I'm going to say all numbers greater than or equal to 3. If it's infinite and open, it means it goes on forever. And I'm going to use open circles because it's not included. So let's say I wanted to say all numbers less than or equal to 6. Oop, actually, I'm going to cross out that or equal to because what did I say? I know it's open. That means it's not included. So I just want to say less than 6. So is 6 less than 6? No, 6 is 6, right? So if 6 is not included, I can do an open circle, and I'm going to draw it over this way. So that's another example of an infinite and open set. So let's look here. I'm going to do 2 examples with you guys, and then we'll see. You can check your answers on the board. I'll remind you of that again. But so I see this. Okay, I see a closed circle on -7, and I want to say, so lowest number is -7, highest number is 4. So all these numbers between them are included. So that means I would say my verbal description is going to be all numbers between -7 and 4. I'm going to say including -7 and 4. Because that's exactly what's happening, right? I have all these numbers between -7 and 4 and also including them. Mathematically, how I would write this, I'm going to call any number in here, right, could be x. So I'm going to start with an x in the middle because I don't know what it is. Remember, x always means that I don't know what that's going to be. So I'm saying x could be any of these numbers. And I know that -7 is over here because it's my lowest. I'm going to put 4 over here because it's my highest. And I'm going to say -7 is less than x. That's true because -7 is going to be lower than any of my possible x values in here. And x is also less than 4, which is exactly right again because I know that all of these numbers in here that I'm looking for have to be less than 4. The last thing I'm missing is because they're included, I always know that if I'm using a closed circle, that means I have to use less than or equal to or greater than or equal to. So again, if it's a closed circle, that means it has to be less than or equal to or greater than or equal to. So mathematically, it's going to be -7 is less than or equal to x is less than or equal to 4. This is how we're always going to write it mathematically. And we're going to fill in the numbers here because x is sandwiched between whatever number is lowest and whatever number is highest. I'll do another example together. Gets a little bit trickier with the infinite. So I look at this and I say, okay, so right here, -8 is my most important number. And they're to the left, so that means it's going to be less than. So I know that I'm going to think that this is all numbers less than, and now I need to think about if they're equal to or not. If this was a solid circle, I know that it's or equal to, and this was a solid circle. So I'm going to say all numbers less than or equal to -8. This one's a little bit tricky because I only have one number on top, right? Do I have any number on the bottom? No. This arrow tells me it's going to go all the way to negative infinity. So I could write it like that. If I want to set it up like this, I'm going to say x, and I'm going to set up my little sandwich. And I could say negative infinity over here. What is my highest value? Negative 8. I know that x has to be less than negative 8. What am I missing? This or equal to. So I'm going to fill in this right here. I know that x is between negative infinity and negative 8. I can also just write it like this. And this is how I would write it. Because is negative infinity a real number? And the answer to that question is no. So I don't have to write it because if negative infinity is the lowest number you can think of, if it's less than negative 8, it has to be greater than negative infinity, right? Because that's not a real number, and it's also the very, very lowest one that we can think of. So this is also okay. Know that these mean the same thing. So I want you guys to try this next page by yourself. You can check your answers on the board, which is going to be at the front right-hand side of the room, right underneath the Texas flag. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 problems I want you to try by yourself. So pause the video so you can double check, and then you can get up and go check your answers if you so desire. So pause the video here. If you didn't pause, you're going to hear me go on to this next part. Oops, there's an extra one I even forgot about. If you did not pause, you're going to hear me go on to the next part, which is going to be practicing what we just learned, but we're going to add in another dimension. So this box right here is actually really important. We're going to talk about domain and range, which again is what we learned about today, but this time we're doing it for continuous functions, or continuous graphs, I'll even say. And the reason I know this is continuous, right? I have my 4 points that would make it discrete, but they're connected by lines, so that means that it's continuous. So I know that my domain is going to be from left to right, which is along the x-axis. Just a reminder, this is my x-axis. My domain is from left to right. So if I'm starting at the left, I'm going to draw a line at the first place my pencil crosses. That is right here. Again, this is my x-axis. So I see this is the farthest left it goes. I'm going to keep moving my pencil across. This is the last point that I see where it's covering up something from the graph, so I'm going to connect it here. So I'm going to count over 1, 2, 3 over here, and -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6 over here. So I know that my x values on my x-axis are between -6 and 3. Last thing I'm missing, are these solid circles or open circles? If they're solid circles, I need to add in that or equal to underneath. Awesome. All right, let's do another one. Let's do range. Range is tricky. That means it's going to be bottom to top and along the y-axis. So my y-axis, again, is this one right here. So this time I'm going to go from bottom to top, or from low to high. So I'm going to start with my pencil at the bottom. I'm going to move it up. Right here, I see my first one, so I'm going to connect that dot, and then I'm going to keep moving up to see if I can get to the top. Right there, that's awesome. So I see this one is my top. It's never going to get any higher than that point. So I'm going to count. I see that this one right here is going to be -1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This one's -6. So my y values are going to be between -6, that was my lowest, and -1. Those were both also solid circles, so I'm going to do my less than or equal to. So my domain is between -6 and 3. My range is going to be between -6 and -1. This gets a little bit tricky, but I think the easiest thing is to get 2 different colors and then think about it from left to right and then from bottom to top. So if you want to go grab markers, the bin is going to be on my desk today. Make sure you grab just 2 colors out of that bin, and it can help you out with your domain and range. Let's do one more example together, and I might even do one more just because I'm feeling extra nice this morning. So let's do domain. I know domain is going to be my x values because Disney XD, and it also goes from left to right. So thinking about my domain going from left to right, I'm going to start with my pencil over here. I see the farthest left it is right here. I'm going to keep going across, And that looks like the farthest right I'm going to get. So I see that this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, minus 7, all the way over to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So my domain is going to be between negative 7 and 5. Now I need to see I only have a closed circle over here in negative 7. So I'm going to use my less than or equal to over here, but not on this side because it's open. All right, my range is going to be y, and this is going to be from bottom to top. So I'm going to move my pencil from bottom to top. So I'm starting at the bottom. You see it goes right here, and then to top. It looks like it's right there at this point again. That's great. So I go negative 3 to 1. So negative 3 is less than y. It's less than 1. I see I have a closed circle over there at the bottom. So I'm going to make sure to add in that or equal to sign. So those would be my two answers for this one. Lastly, actually, you guys give these a try. This one at the bottom's a little tricky. I'm going to do the range with you guys here really quick because I know range is bottom to top. So I'm going to start at the bottom. The first thing I hit is this point right here. And if I'm going all the way to the top, it looks like it's right here at this point. So don't be confused. It's not always going to use the same times. That is, in fact, my bottom to top if you needed a hint. Again, the answer key is going to be on the board if you need it. But good luck and hope this was helpful. Remember to ask any questions if you have them.